What's going on YouTube? Today we're going to talk about camp safety and camp security. This can go, I do a lot of traveling on my own, so I got some good pointers for you guys. And the common thing I always see, especially in the younger youth, when they go camp, I see this all the time. They leave a messy camp. So they leave their food, they leave food all over everything. They leave things like this laying around, trash. They won't even put their trash in a bag sometimes. So I would recommend first thing is just put your food away. Keep it clean. That or keep the animals away from your campsite, especially at night. If you leave all of that I showed you out at night, you're gonna have a bear come into your camp. So highly recommend when you're done cooking, clean up. And that's what we're gonna do right now. So we just got everything cleaned up. I just got done doing dishes. I'm just letting everything dry out. I will not leave this out to if I'm away from camp, I won't leave this out or put all this stuff away. So that kind of is something for in the if you're four-legged creatures, keep a clean camp, keep it, keep food away, keep it stored. At night, lock your food up in your vehicle. For the most part, I've never had too many issues with wildlife. A couple years ago, when I was staying in my truck, I was still tent camping back then. I had a bear come into camp multiple times, enough where I decided to pack up and leave because he wouldn't go away. He was very aggressive. He was getting very close. I didn't even cook or anything. I just had my tent up. So that bear was, uh, he would have been trouble if I stayed. So use common sense. Just like I say, put stuff away. Um, for the four-legged creatures, that's really the only issue you're going to run into is just keep food away. Kind of keep an eye out for if something's coming in. But other than that, that's really it. Now, the two-legged creatures, they like to get into things and steal, theft, and vandalize. So that's a little different, and you never know what their intentions are either. So what I like to do when I'm camping is I I like to keep everything locked up and cleaned up the best I can. So does that mean, like for example, like my solar panel, I have it chained up right here, and I have it tied to the trailer. So no one could really walk away with my solar panel. My diesel heater, truth of the matter is with the diesel heater is it's not hard for me just to pop it out the window and put it in here and slide it away so it's nice and clean. Really not concerned about people messing with that. It's kind of that, you know, out of sight, out of mind. So, that's how I get around that with the diesel heater. Now, since I have a trailer and I unhook and I don't want people just to back up and steal it because these trailers are in high demand, I just do, I lock it up like this. I've been thinking about getting a better lock for it because I don't think those are actually that hard to bust off. I don't know, I've never tried it, but I've never had issues with that as well. People usually kind of leave that stuff alone. Um, One thing I always like to do when I'm camping as well is I always like to have where the trailer is backed in somewhere. So it's backed into a spot where I know if I had to get out, I can hook up and go real quick. Or if it's really sketchy, I just get my vehicle and go and come back when it's daylight. So I don't get myself pinned back into a spot where it's like, man, I gotta do the trailer around, I gotta back up 20 times. It's just go, So one thing, like when I go to find camp spots, I'm kind of in a big camp spot right now, but if you look around, I got a pretty big camp spot right here. So it's real easy for me to get out real fast. And if I had to do that, I can. But I like to have, if I was in a tighter spot, I would back the trailer in and I'd back the Forerunner in as well. So that keeps me a little more secure. All right, let's talk about at night when things get dark and things go bump. We all have that stuff. That stuff all comes into play. So in the evenings, there's several ways you can keep yourself protected and let people know that, hey, someone's here, back off. So me personally, I used to have a light I'd always keep on at night. I don't do that anymore because now I feel like all that does is attract people to come in and start misbehaving. I don't do that anymore. This trailer currently, I don't have any motion lights on it, but that is something I'm going to put on this winter. I highly recommend some motion lights on your front, sides, and back. So if someone was coming, it's going to light up. They're going to run away. So definitely motion lights. Other thing I would say is I know a lot of people do the van life and they like to block out their windows, and I understand why. But if someone's out there and if they don't have a security system on their van, you don't know who's out there. I feel like you're playing a little bit of a risky game there. So I like to keep my windows partially blocked, but partially enough where I can see outside. So if I knew someone was standing out there, I can see them real easy. And it's not like, oh, let me open up the door, let me rip all this stuff off. I know what I'm up against. Um, so, windows, I definitely think it's worth, especially where you're sleeping, so you can see what's out there. I've never had people come in and do anything to my camper. I mean, I've had one bad experience where I was in a fairground camping in this trailer earlier this year, and the camp host decides to, because I never paid because I could never find them, decided to start banging on my door, giving me all these slips to fill out and all this stuff at like 10 o'clock at night. I'm like, you can't be doing that at 10 o'clock at night. People carry firearms, people get uneasy on that. I thought it was really messed up and really wrong. That's how someone's going to get hurt. So, um, long story on that is I've had more issues in fairgrounds and campgrounds than I have in the middle of nowhere. I don't know what it is, but campgrounds and fairgrounds seem to be the worst place to have where things get stolen. People like to get into your stuff. Things are going on till 10, 11 o'clock at night that shouldn't be going on. So, me personally, stay away from campgrounds, stay away from fairgrounds. Now maybe that's just I don't think they're all like that. I've gone to some and they're actually really good. But you go to any of the really populated U.S. forest campgrounds, they're horrible. People are getting into everything, at least in my experience. So now it goes to the topic of people. All right, so people, you can't predict them. Animals, most likely, they're going to run off and leave you alone. People, they're a little more aggressive, they're unknown, and some of them are just a little unstable as well. But overall, I've been camping my whole entire life. I can only think of two incidents where it had me uneasy. One was a bear coming into camp and just kept circling and circling and circling. And the other one is when I was at Rocky Mountain National Park. And this didn't even happen at the campground. This happened on the trail. Some guy showed up literally out of nowhere. It actually startled me. And then by the time I went to go grab my backpack and throw it on, he was gone instantly. Really weird. But overall, I've had pretty good experiences. It's safe out there. I mean, go out there and enjoy it. But so this goes into things, how can you protect yourself? There's multiple ways you can do this. You can, uh, people carry bear spray for their animal to keep wildlife away. I mean, you can always have a knife on you. I know people like to carry firearms. Me personally, what I do is I don't carry bear spray, but I do have a knife on me and I do carry a firearm. So if something did go bump in the night, I'm going to be having something there that I can have to protect myself. Now, with the firearms, and if you're a responsible gun owner, you know how to do things correctly and not just pull the trigger and get happy firing rounds off. Use your head, be smart, look at the situation before you start shooting rounds off. So, little disclaimer there for you. I'm not saying just start shooting everything up. That's not what I'm saying. Be smart, be a responsible gun owner. So the next topic is a lot of times you don't have cell service, but Starlink is changing a lot of that, and you do have cell service. So if you are somewhere, let a friend or family member know where you're at. Check in once in a while. It's a good practice. Me personally, I don't have Starlink running on my rig yet. Sometimes I don't have cell service. I just trust my gut. Be smart, but use those things to help you stay safe as well. Um, Lock your stuff up. Don't leave valuables out. That attracts people as well. Um, One thing I've noticed, at least in Colorado, is if you are about 2 hours from Denver or less and you're camping, you always run into people getting in your stuff. It's crowded, it's chaotic, people will literally camp right next to you. So, if you get a little more remote, people leave you alone. People don't mess with your stuff. They're a little more homebody, let's put it that way. And they're a little more authentic and they're not going to go and steal your stuff. So, long story short on, people and if they come into your camp is just keep your stuff, valuables locked up, keep it away, be smart, have things to protect yourself. If it's a knife, bear spray, a firearm, it could just be a flashlight, maze. It could really be anything, but when you set up camp, set yourself up in a way that if something's coming or if there is a bump in the night, you know how to address it. So another thing I like to do when I first get to camp, and I highly recommend everyone do this, you find your camp spot, pull in. Before you get set up, do a quick walk around. See what's around, see what's up. If there's other people around, just give them a quick wave. See if they respond or if they're kind of dicks or if they're going to be kind of keep to themselves. That'll kind of help make things more enjoyable on your camping trip. So currently, I'm walking around my camp spot, just kind of scoping things out, seeing if there's anything that I need to be aware of. Is there people that seem a little sketchy that make me uneasy? If I run into those things, yes, I am going to find a different camp spot. It's currently December, mid-December. Not a lot of people are camping. So, like, I have a camp spot right here behind me. There's another one right up over here. So, I'm not too worried about running into people out here. So, with that being said, since I'm pretty much the only one back here, if I did hear something bump in the night, most likely it's going to be a human doing something that they shouldn't be doing. So, little advice for you there. But no, doing a walk around camp is always something I would highly recommend. Like when I pulled into this campsite, I had no issues, everything looked good. Um, I didn't see anything uneasy. It felt right, so I took the spot. So a walk around camp is definitely a must before you set up. So now let's talk about if I was gonna go and leave the trailer behind, which is basically my home for how long I'm out in the woods. I make sure everything's locked. I triple check it. Again, put things away. I don't run security cameras on my trailer. Part of me says I should maybe look at putting up a trail cam or something. I hear a lot of people do it nowadays, so maybe I need to get on that bandwagon. I've also heard people talking about doing sonar. They're put it throughout, and then if something goes off, you know about it. So that's kind of an alternative you could do. If I was out in the woods for, 2 weeks at a time, middle of nowhere, I would probably look, and if I knew I was going to be leaving my camper throughout the day, a couple times a week or whatever it is, I would definitely look at putting some cameras on for sure. And I would do the motion lights. I think the motion lights is a smart thing. And I think if you're going to do it, you put it on all four sides of your trailer. So if something's coming, it lights up. You know what's out there. The sonar, I don't know. I'd have to play around with it to see if I would like it or not. But it's something I think it's people are using it a little bit more and more. Um, so I don't know. I guess it's kind of worth trying. I know trail cams is. I've been thinking about getting a trail cam for a while, and I should probably look at getting one because I think it would actually make me feel a little easier if something did come pull in or someone was walking up to my camper, I knew about it. Um, like I say, I've never really had issues. I don't really have a thing where, you know, hey, I don't have a thing where it's like, hey, I'm inviting you to come in and steal my stuff. I keep things very clean. I keep things put away. Um, I don't really scatter. So I think that's a big part of, just making sure no one breaks into your stuff. So when I was backpacking a lot by myself, I never really worried about, I mean, I worried about people and I did worry about animals, but for the most part, backpacking is pretty safe. If you were going to go and do some sort of trip and you were by yourself, I recommend you do it. Just make sure you have your stuff in a bear bag or a bear can. cook, away from your campsite, keep your clothes clean. If you get food on your clothes, I did this when I was backpacking in Yellowstone. I spilled some food on my clothes. I took my clothes off and put different clothes on before I even got close to my tent because I knew it was going to attract wildlife. So, little safety disclaimer there if you're in like bear country, and I was in bear country. So, um, they have really good noses. They will get in and tear things up. Um, but no, like bear spray, I think is a good alternative and is a good thing to have around. I think it's better than using a firearm, in my opinion. Uh, you know, Firearms are always, in today's world, is always a little, people get a little uneasy seeing them. Some people don't really care. I guess it just kind of depends on how you want to present that. A lot of people can conceal carry them, so people don't really have to see it in the element of surprise. Uh, but no, I mean, like, all the trips I've done when I was backpacking with friends or by myself, I always, with friends, there was always someone that always had bear spray. And then I would just carry a firearm. If it was just me, honestly, I would carry a firearm. Um, some of the lakes and stuff I go to, I see people, they catch fish, they're gut it right at the shore. So to conclude all this is, when it comes to camping by yourself, you do got to think about safety and security. Just use your head, be smart, don't leave it trashed. Um, have things that if something did go bump in the night, four-legged or two-legged, something to defend yourself. Don't be a victim. So just be prepared, and keep things, uh, when you set up camp, my biggest advice is just set up camp in a way if you did have to get out early or if you had to bail or something along those lines, you can get out and you're not gonna hurt yourself. Always have an exit plan. I guess that's the moral of the story. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.